invite him again, maybe? Okay. Hey, that seemed to work.
Oh, hey.
Hello?
We did it!
Yay!
Yeah, I couldn't see anything. I was just like, how do I get back into this thing?
Oh, no.
And then, just to be safe, I'm going to hotspot my phone. Internet is getting owned because there's so many people over.
Mm.
Can you see this
just
box that's next to me, or no?
No.
Oh, okay,
Oh
cool.
my god. I just saw your jacket. It's amazing.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thought I'd cyberpunk it up, you know.
Yes. Noise.
I wish there was a way for me to figure out how to... It's not voice setting.
Hamish, do you want me to follow the stream at the beginning to make sure things are working so you guys know ahead of time as opposed to last time?
Yeah, sure. I have it going here as well.
You have it going there? Okay.
I mean, oh no!
No, not this again.
Oh, yeah, no. He's making a
Why?
oh, no.
Hello?
What?
Hello.
Is this
Hi.
Okay, so apparently we are streaming. The sound is
Oh.
going out right now for some reason.
Have we already started?
Let me transition to the thing and we can actually start. So I had it set up so that it would be just playing music and the stream would be on and the music would be playing and it wouldn't be detecting our microphones. But for some reason, the music stopped and then our microphones get... Oh, I wonder if if it stops when the music hits like the end of the track.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
Well, anyway, Cyberpunk up. It's time for Cyberpunk. People, we have viewers to shop with cybers.
I'm ready.
No, not cybers. Actually, we're not going to cybers. We may be
So
retro,
ready.
but we're not that retro. So hello
see very well.
everybody. I'm Hamish, Peregrine Kiwi. Let's go around down to Kira.
Yes. Hello, I'm Kira Magrann. I'm a queer cyborg game designer and I live in Columbus, Ohio. I'm working on a cyberpunk game and talking to these other cyberpunk game people because we all have similar thoughts about cyberpunk games.
And informally, sometimes we have different thoughts about cyberpunk games.
True. Last week you did school me on a cyberpunk thing and I learned. Should Barb go next? Sorry,
Sure,
Banana.
yeah. Oh, other way.
Hi. Oh, hi. I'm Banana Chan, and I am the co-founder / owner of Game and a Curry, and we are releasing a Judge Dredd game, which is cyberpunky. So, yay!
Super cool. Fraser, there lives you.
Hello, I'm Fraser. I live in Calgary, and I have hotspotting my phone to make this happen right now. So,
That's pretty
and
simple.
I literally had to hotspot my phone and then push my phone up against the window so it got signal. And so this is my life. Hopefully it's working properly. And I also designed the veil. Hi.
So Fraser recorded twice just in a little lead-up period, so hopefully he doesn't drop out while we're actually streaming. My volume is a little low, I am told.
Oh no.
I wonder.
I believe in you.
What was that, sorry?
I said I believe in you.
Oh, no, that's not going to do it.
This will work out.
So, well, maybe while you're fixing your volume, we can start talking about our very planned cyberpunk thoughts. So we're going to talk about old Cyberpunk games versus new Cyberpunk games today. I think we're thinking of tabletop games, but if it drifts a little bit into LARPs or video games, I'm sure that's fine. So Fraser, this is actually pretty relevant to you right now because you're designing something that's based on an old Cyberpunk game.
Yeah, in the Codex issue, Chrome 2, which is in a couple months, I believe, but my due date is present. So I'm rereading Cyberpunk 2020 because I actually never played it and never read it because I'm a millennial and I like avocado. No, just kidding. So I'm reading it for the first time, and that's been really instructive. And the game that I'm designing is what if the Veil was designed back then, kind of like John Harper's semi-joke but not joke World of Dungeons for Dungeon World. And yeah, it's been pretty interesting. The first thing that you see when you open that book for the second edition that I got is like someone who looks like Sharon Stone in lingerie with like a bunch of like headers that are like, this is what you're going to learn. I'm like, how is this relevant? Okay, cool. Let's keep going.
Oh my God. I haven't looked at that book in so long. I actually completely forgot about the artwork that was inside of it.
Well, I think it might be different too, because there's actually a note in it that says the second edition uses artwork from the Italian edition of Cyberpunk 2020 after it was licensed. So what you saw in 2013 or in 2020 first edition might not be what is in the second edition, possibly.
That's very interesting. And I imagine it's probably a little bit more risque if it's based on like the Italian artwork, which is kind of cool, but probably problematic.
Yeah, it's if you read X-Men comics in the 90s when they make them have huge tits and stuff, that's what it is. Yeah, that is
my favorite.
Yeah, but otherwise it's pretty cool.
So you have you played Cyberpunk 2020 before? Or are you just like reading it?
Yeah, I'm just reading it just to get a feel for what I should be like looking at for design goals, basically.
Yeah.
I did watch an actual play of it on Henley's channel. Henley's, the Die Hard, Die something.
I don't know.
Die something. They play D&D, but they were playing Cyberpunk 2020 this time.
Mm-hmm.
And I distinctly recall being a little bit titillated because they went to a nightclub and were trying to impress somebody, and they had to roll plus personal hygiene.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And in the book, it's like, if you're a model, you might have +8 personal hygiene.
Question, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Can everybody on the stream hear me?
Yep. Oh, sorry.
You're not on the stream.
No, I'm not. Nope.
I mean, you might be. Because I think I was incorrectly. Okay. All right. Well, I'm just gonna try and be closer to the microphone, because I don't see a setting that I can immediately change that will fix this. So at least I am audible.
Yeah.
Let's get my big pop sock thing up in here. This is pretty Cyberpunk, actually.
Pop sock. Yeah,
well,
so official.
Over this, it would be a pop sock. This is just a
pop filter.
spittle guard. Yes. But chrome.
Oh my God, amazing.
Sorry, I just sidetracked everything, but I wanted to check the levels.
No, it's okay.
Sounds better.
I remember that my favorite part of Cyberpunk 2020 was the what was it, lifestyle generator or
It's life paths, right?
Life paths, yeah, which I guess I guess it's of the era. Like, I feel like life paths used to be bigger.
Yeah, well,
even like 10 years ago they used to be, but now like I don't see it as much anymore.
10 years ago,
games.
back when burning wall was a thing.
Yeah.
What's that?
I think now it's more
I'm just throwing shade on Burning Wheel.
Oh, yeah, because there's Life Path Generator and Burning Wheel.
No, but
I forgot
Traveller
about
as well,
that.
like back in the day, if we want to talk old school.
Mhm. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the life paths have been really cool. I've been reading up on those, and I think that's the coolest tech in there. But oh man, is some of those 1981 written for sure. Like your personal problem in that game, or not personal problem, your past. Like you roll for a past to see if it's good or bad for every year that you're over 16 in that game.
Hmm.
And one of them, your problem was you were accused falsely, and then I looked down the list, and one of it is rape, and I was like, ooh,
Yikes.
Oof.
in current culture, that might not fly so good.
Yeah. I mean, including sexual assault in the game is a thing. I mean, you can do it. It's just like, be careful how you're doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and it's like literally a footnote because it's like it's extortion, it's this, and then like side note rape, and then keeps going. I'm like, whoa, slow down, partner.
Oof.
Give me some more text here.
That's a bummer.
Yeah, it's very 1981 stuff, but I still think it's cool tech. Like you really do seem to generate a lot of history for your character right away, which seems pretty in line with what they're going for. And
Yeah.
I like the flavor in the book too. The flavor's great. So.
Yeah. And well, I remember a cool thing about the life paths was that you could like it was like lots of details about potentially like your class and your family situation and like how that affects like how much money you have and what tech and gear you have and stuff like that. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. And I do remember one of the biggest faults of the game / features was that you could die really easily. Like you were supposed to buy headgear because if you didn't, you probably wouldn't last more than like a session.
Yeah, I haven't got to that point maybe yet. At least, if that is clear, I didn't pick up on it in the reading of it. But I am like halfway in, which means I'm like still reading talents and skills. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So one of the things that I was struck by when I read Cyberpunk 2020 recently and compared it to reading Shadowrun is how much color is baked into the text of Cyberpunk 2020. It is, especially for like the late 80s, it does a really good job of imparting the color of the cyberpunk thing that it's going for into every little mechanic. And yeah, if you look at it side by side with Shadowrun First Edition, it is a stark comparison. Which I definitely wouldn't have picked before reading them again, like now.
Yeah,
It's really interesting.
I would say like reading Cyberpunk 2020 text right now, I'm really enjoying reading it just because of all that flavor baked into everything. It's like it really wants to get that punk aesthetic off to everything, and it's kind of like a side note. Even when you're doing life passes, like most likely this year is going to be shitty for you, and you're going to find out what it is. Like whatever the odds were, it's skewed towards like a shitty year than a good year. It's not like 50-50. So yeah, I think you're right about that.
Yeah,
Cool.
mad props to Mike Pondsmith for all that good work.
Yeah. Of its time, but good stuff of its time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, like
Cool.
he has an entire chapter on cyberware. Shadowrun has 2 small paragraphs, and then a list of equipment. Like you kind of have to know what's going on for Shadowrun in the first edition anyway. And this is the first edition. But I didn't notice that at the time. Like when I was running it, I thought this is the greatest thing. But it's partly because of the good flavor text intro, and then the grabby way that it pulls in like the fantasy elements for all that's also kind of problematic. That is definitely not something that like 15-year-old me noticed.
Yeah.
Well,
15-year-old
plus. Yeah, exactly.
15-year-old me didn't notice much, to be fair. Wah, wah. I mean, I knew how Thacker worked, so it's all right?
I still don't understand how that goes.
That's for the best. That's for the best.
Oh, Thacker.
Is that in Shadowrun, Thacker?
No.
Wait.
no, definitely not. It's
in D&D.
Yeah, AD&D Second Edition.
Okay. Cool.
Oh, and I guess First Edition is well, yeah. Yeah, Shadowrun it was one of the first systems, maybe the first system to introduce dice pools, though. So World of Darkness owes a big like mechanical debt to that. I think one of the
That's
people who worked on
interesting.
World of Darkness worked on Shadowrun as well.
Hmm.
I think I got that particular nugget from Designers and Dragons, the Shannon Appleklein's 4-volume thing, which I like finally, after gazing sort of longingly at it,
Or was
ponied
it
up and bought
lustfully?
this year.
Or was it lustfully?
It might have been a little lustfully. I don't think I licked that book when it came out. I definitely didn't lick the PDF.
Well, that's good.
So
I'm proud of you.
I probably smelled it, although I don't know if I did actually. Do you guys smell role-playing books?
Yes.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I
Get that
smell every
nostalgia?
single book that comes in for sure, 100%.
Mhm. And cards as well. I remember opening that first pack of Magic cards. Ooh, the heady smell of
It's
thousands
true.
of dollars down the drain.
Oh.
Classic. Classic
anyone-
brew.
Did anyone get into Pogs? That's what I was.
No.
Yes.
Oh my god, yes.
What a weird side drift.
Well, it feels like the same thing as Magic to me. To be
When's your
honest.
Pogs game coming out, Fraser?
No.
Cyberpogs?
You laugh. I have the-
Hack the Pocket?
I have a full set of the Gargoyles Pogs still. So.
Oh wow. I have some X-Men ones if you want to trade.
I will give you for the X-Men ones.
Wait, really?
Yeah, that sounds great.
That's way more than I thought they're worth, but sure.
Okay, well, I think that you should go on eBay then, because anything that when you're 30 and you look at the things that you're collecting in grade 6 or 7, that shit's a mint now.
I'm gonna have to dig them out.
Get that Schwimmer money for it.
So Cyberpunk 2020
Oh yeah, right.
or
Well, yeah.
2013.
I'd be curious to hear more of your guys' thoughts on it, actually, yeah, as I'm only halfway in the book, but I wouldn't mind keeping your thoughts in mind as I read the rest.
Yeah, I don't remember it as much. I actually got to play the newer one with Mike Pondsmith at Origins. My computer just crapped out. for some-
The somewhat I don't know, the green one with the action figure posed
It was
pictures.
What?
yes, that
Yeah.
one. It was not as good.
Maybe not the best aesthetic choice, but I bet he was going for a particular thing, and I just haven't sort of spent enough time thinking about what that thing was.
I mean, doll art is kind of cool sometimes, but that doll art was not the best, and that's okay.
I mean,
But
in
I
the same
remember
way that I really dig. I was just reading an article last night about the 10 worst pop songs ever, and there were some
Yeah.
egregious inclusions. Like "Built This City" is definitely not a bad song. That is an awesome song, and I would
That
fight
is an
people.
awesome song.
Oh.
Yeah, but also on it was Barbie Girl, which is also a fantastic song, not least of all because
Yeah.
of the subtext. So if he was going for a similar kind of subtext as Barbie Girl, then I might have to reevaluate my opinion.
What game is this that you played with
It's,
this doll?
It was like, I want to say it was like maybe 7 years ago, and he was writing it then. It was like being finished, I think, and so it was like a sequel to Cyberpunk 2020. It's like Cyberpunk 20X or something, I want to say, and it had like I remember that it had more specifically focused on enclaves. So there were like these enclaves in the city, and you needed to like passes to get into each one. And there's a little bit more body modification, almost like to the transhumanist end. Like there were shark people.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, which like obviously influenced me because all I want to do is write about like cyberpunk mermaids.
I mean, that's a good niche.
Like street sharks?
Ooh, that's a good name for them.
No, I think that they were not in the city. Like they actually lived underwater. Like these people like had modified themselves to live underwater. And so they had special underwater enclaves, but they were like half man, half shark.
Oh, that's really cool.
I mean,
it was pretty cool. It was kind of cheesy and kind of cool. Two things.
The game was just called Cyberpunk version 3.0. And it was just the third edition, essentially.
Yeah.
Is it coming out still? Or?
No, it came out in...
It came out.
It came out. Okay.
A while
Yeah,
ago.
it's got... Yeah, it was like 7-10 years ago or something like that. But yeah, that's all I remember. So not much help. I remember the concepts were, like, it was a big difference in... Like, it was a more contemporary cyberpunk feeling that was more like The Matrix and less like, William Gibson, basically. Like, where I would say old 2020 was more the 80s style. Basically.
It came out in 2005.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But yeah,
cool.
its art style was a little bit idiosyncratic, to say the least, maybe. It was kind of like green ink. Well, it was black on white, but it was like green was the overall interior color, like a computer console. But then all of the interior art was posed action figures.
I'm trying to
posed
find
and
this right
photographed
now.
Action figures.
Oh my gosh.
It's pretty weird.
Yeah.
I think I would hate that.
Dolls
to be
freak me
honest.
out.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find this and I can't find the cover anywhere.
The cover doesn't
Yeah.
have any art on it, so the cover is just the same as the previous covers. Well, the same as the 2013 cover, but with green.
Mm-hmm.
It says Cyberpunk in that Cyberpunk script, and then version 3.
Interesting.
down.
Action. Maybe
I had a
that's
fun
why I just
time.
completely got rid of it.
It was
maybe
really
saw the
interesting.
dolls.
It was interesting playing with Mike Pondsmith. He was the GM for this game. It was like a special Origins game, I guess, back when Origins was slightly better. And they he spent a lot of, he was one of those GMs that spent like half the session describing everything. And he was like we were like, a lot of times I like want to shoot myself when GMs do that, but we were like an enraptured audience. Like, he just had so much to say and like knew his setting so well. And it was like really cool the way he like, he's a very good storyteller. And that was kind of an interesting experience, basically just like listening to him talk about his cyberpunk, like how he understood cyberpunk. And like a lot of it was just like in-depth descriptions of the city and in-depth descriptions of personal style.
Yeah, you can see that he has that like concern with the relationship of style to cyberpunk all through his work. Like it really is.
Yeah, the first thing that I noticed when after the blonde chick with rogue boobs from the 90s, after that, the first thing in the top left that you see is style over substance paragraph. So yeah, I can see him being like, the first thing that he's concerned with, he's like, okay, let me tell you how you don't look like a fool in this setting, right? Basically.
Yeah. Did you read that? Have you read that article yet, Fraser? I know I keep asking you this, but I keep forgetting what the answer is. And
no, I haven't read it yet, but I will. I promise.
Yeah, there's this article just for the listeners or the viewers, I guess. In what's it called, Cyberpunk and Visual Culture, which is an academic edited volume. There's an article on cyberpunk, or the aesthetics and body modification essentially in cyberpunk, and how they work together, and how the humanity cost system all works to reinforce that sort of those ideas. It's super good, and definitely maybe reconsider how those humanity cost and essence cost systems work a little bit, or at least how it works when he did it originally.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. Yeah, that's the thing that I'm bucking against the most. So I will definitely read that before doing the draft for Veil 2020.
Yeah, for me, that definitely comes out of a kind of like 80s fear of increasing technology that I think these days you can still see it all over the place, actually. But I think that
Black Mirror.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the Black Mirror kind of thing. But yeah, I think people like us, Fraser, are not like on that train, and I don't think the rest of the people here are on that train either.
Yeah.
We're all about like the cool uses that you can put to technology to do cool things, not like the fear that our body is going to be penetrated by metal. I mean, maybe it's sharp, but like, not as an intrinsic. dehumanizing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's also interesting in games how like that kind of humanity tracker doesn't show up as much either. I don't know. Maybe only in the games that I play. But...
Well, Shadowrun's where I first noticed it, and I was like really not into it. I was like, I'm a street samurai and I've got all this stuff, and they're like, cool, you're barely human. I'm like, what? Fuck you.
But there's no mechanical weight to it, so it's okay.
Yeah, it's still it's like you have 0.5 essence. I'm like, what? Okay, cool. And I'm like, okay, cool. I'm a street samurai, so I can take people out. And they're like,
So I have a copy of Interface Zero, but I haven't read it yet. I wonder if anyone in the chat has read Interface Zero and can tell us if that game has like an essence cost or a humanity cost mechanic, because that would be the place that I would look for like a non-indie Cyberpunk game that might continue those trends. But yeah, as I say, I haven't read it yet. I have the Savage Worlds version. I don't know what the original version was.
Oh, that's neat.
I
I've
have
never even
not.
heard of that.
Oh, it's
Yeah, me neither.
Oh, really? Yeah, I heard about it just a little while ago. It seems like it's the most popular sort of trad-ish one that isn't Cyberpunk 2020. It's like the setting thing that people would bolt onto Savage Worlds and a whole bunch of other different stuff. It's supposed to be pretty popular, like on par with Eclipse Phase popular, apparently.
Oh, cool.
Weird.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a big book. This is like this is typical like D&D volume size, and it's definitely bigger than the Player's Handbook or any of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the Savage Worlds one you said, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's
Whoa!
impressive.
Oh, mad props. First page I turn to. Australia and New Zealand, what up?
Oh.
Right, I take you back. Oh, let me smell it.
Does it smell like what is the foliage there? Ferns or something?
No, it doesn't smell like ferns. It doesn't smell like any sort
The
of
bush.
kiwi or anything. It smells.
Yeah.
It has a familiar smell.
Yeah,
I didn't even realize
maybe it
that
smells
Savage
like...
Worlds like still made things.
Oh.
Like, still
Really?
existed.
Oh no,
I
it's
just
pretty big
realized.
thing.
This is my life now. I live here.
You're real into it.
I'm into it.
It smells like little New Zealand pies.
No, it really doesn't smell like anything New Zealand. It does smell like a certain kind of old game book though. There's a certain there is something familiar about this printer ink. Oh, and I randomly turned to the New Zealand page again. I'm gonna have to read this and probably tweet it. I don't know. My both like I wrote a Cyberpunk New Zealand setting for Mark Richardson's Headspace, which will be forthcoming whenever that book comes out. And my friend Morgan, who is a Kiwi living in Wellington and also writes for Pelgrane. Press or Cubicle 7 and that lot. He wrote one for November Metric, so maybe I'll do a side-by-side views of... I don't know who wrote this one though. I don't know if it was a New Zealander.
Yeah, who knows?
That's my trifecta of New Zealand things today. That's really weird. Well, and yesterday. Because last night we watched Hunt for the Wilder People.
Oh, yes.
And then
I watched last night too.
What?
Oh,
Yeah.
weird.
Whoa.
I literally
happening?
I saw it for the first time last night.
Yeah, me too.
So good.
I watched it on Netflix. I'm like, it's time. Taika Waititi, let's get this on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really good. Go watch.
Were
It's
you
not
preparing
Cyberpunk
for
at all.
Deadpool? Is that why you watched it?
Yeah, I really just wanted to say the word "deed" correctly, right?
Did? You maybe did? You did? You did want to say that?
Did. Yeah.
Wait, why? Does Deadpool take place in New Zealand?
I don't know, but the kid from Hunt for the Wilder People is in Deadpool, and he's the kid in Deadpool.
Oh.
So
Okay.
I am kind of hoping there's like a crossover of some sort there, or at least some sort of like good Deadpool, Taika Waititi, Ragnarok joke crossover.
Yeah, that would be good.
That'd be so
I mean,
good.
Deadpool like kind of is the better X-Men now, unfortunately.
Yeah, he really is.
Better who?
They're the better X-Men movies.
I don't
They
know
have
what you're talking
like
about.
Like those old X-Men movies are kind of terrible. Deadpool is like better X-Men.
Yeah. I did watch one of the recent X-Pool.
X-Pool.
I watched one of the recent X-Men movies. There was the one with Michael Fassbender.
Yeah.
I think the first one that he was in.
Oh, is that? Yeah.
Yeah, what did
That
you
was
say,
pretty
Fraser? What
good.
was the name of it?
Oh, Days of Future Past.
Yeah, I watched that. But other than that, I hadn't watched any since like the second one
Or-
or something. So
Actually, the one before that is not Days of Future Past, right? That's
Yeah, it's the one where
oh crap! I can't
Xavier
remember.
and him, Magneto, get their gay on, and everyone fan fiction about it.
Yeah.
Days of Future
Yeah.
Past is the one that I've seen anyway.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Recently,
sweet.
yeah. No, that
Well,
one.
I just know things. So
And there was also Logan.
Oh,
There's-
yeah, I haven't
Logan's the
seen
best
Logan yet.
one.
I still haven't
Yeah.
seen it yet.
Yeah. Well, the problem with Logan is that it's a bro party. And the
Oh, is
problem with
it?
the other ones is that there's ladies, but they mostly suck.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, because the ladies in the X-Men are my favorite. We're drifting way off topic.
yeah. So now that we've talked about that, I think Banana Chan can segue directly to Shadowrun because we've clearly
Oh,
set
God.
it up.
For a moment
So
there,
I'm-
I thought you said Shadowrun, and I was like, that is a crossover that I want to see. I want to see, like, good old 1970s cyberpunk blaxploitation. Oh, yeah. That'll be good.
Oh my god, yes!
Oh my
I did not follow you at first. Yeah,
that's amazing.
get some Shaft and get some who's the lady? Jackie Brown.
Oh, yeah. Mhm.
Jackie Brown Cyberpunk would be amazing.
Yeah.
When you have OBS more handled, can you make like a little button in the top right corner of your screen that says TM? So when you have all these good ideas, you can just light it up. TM.
Hey, look, Fraser. Ideas are free. So somebody make that game because I want to play it.
No, that's just a translation of you're too lazy to make it, actually.
Well, yeah, that's right. Ideas are free, work is not. So if you put in the work, then good on you. You bravo. And I will play that game. I will put down money for that game. Take my money.
Yeah, but then, I mean, my way we can go like this, and then TM would light up on the screen, and it would be cool. Though.
That would be pretty cool. Yep. That would definitely be cool.
Like a TM emoji.
You know what would be a lot easier? If you wrote TM on a piece of paper.
Yeah, but then
It's TM.
Oh. So just like every time something happens, you just bring it up.
it can be our O card for each other for these chats, right? When people are saying really cool stuff, we can just hold up TM. That's good shit. That's our O card, Kira. Hit it, hit it, hit it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so good.
I don't have an O card for the online.
I
am
really
curious
should have
about that,
ordered
though.
those red and yellow cards. I'm going to buy some red and yellow cards for when I do laps in my class, so that I can like give people warnings if they get anachronistic or go in ways that they think are bad. And soccer referee cards are super cheap. You can get both for like $5. So
Oh, wow.
You gotta do it.
You can go like this and be like, you want to be dead?
Don't make me come up there, Fraser.
Can you bring some of your cute little pies if you come?
Yes.
Where are those referee cards when you need them?
Yeah, seriously.
Exactly. I am super curious about though that Shadowrun. You're like how it went with you were talking about running playing Shadowrun first and then Shadowrun fifth, and if it was an actually different experience or not, because it maybe.
You probably should explain what the thing is as well for the viewers.
True.
So John Stavropoulos ran this game where we had Shadowrun First Edition and Shadowrun Fifth Edition, and we were playing mostly Fifth Edition until we had a flashback, and that's when we would play First Edition. So it was switched back and forth between two editions. It was interesting. It was just really confusing. And just to get back and forth between the two systems. But I think like comparing the two, Fifth Edition was definitely more streamlined and a lot less cluttered. And that was like the second or third time I've ever played Shadowrun, so it was an interesting experience.
How many sessions was all of this?
One.
What?
Whoa.
You switched
Oh, sorry.
versions during the same one
Yeah.
shot?
Yeah.
Wow. How many times did you switch back and forth?
Yeah.
I think maybe 2 or 3 times.
Wow.
How
Yeah.
long was it? Was it
Damn.
forever?
It felt like forever, yeah. No, but it was fun. It was like an interesting concept. So like, I think we would have one scene where we were all doing a thing, and then when we flash back, we would just go to first edition. So, yeah.
So it was
weird.
like dangerous kind of to flashback because you were going back to shittier, dangerous tools.
Right. And your characters were just like, your characters weren't fully developed when you were like in first edition too. So it's like starting from scratch and then going back to like having all this stuff.
That's amazing when you think about it. Like, that's great.
I want to do that. Hey, you should do that, Fraser, with your World of the Veil game. You can switch back and forth between it.
That would be fun. I've actually, when I went quiet, I was literally thinking about that. So I was like, oh. I like that.
Please do it.
I like that first edition. First edition is probably easier to get killed though. So it'd be funny though if like you're kind of playing with plot armor too though, right? You're just like, I know I survived, so
Yeah, it's like you're like, you know, half dead or something, and then you flash back into like the present day and everything's fine, you know.
Yeah.
Well, that's the moment that you discover that the reason that you're not fully dead is because the corpse rebuild you and now you have a cortex bomb. Because cortex bombs,
Exactly.
people, cortex bombs.
Yeah.
Vortex bombs. Is that a thing from Shadowrun?
Yeah, I think so.
They could just,
Yeah.
oh, it's very Donnie mnemonic, I guess. They could
Yeah.
like blow you up from a distance. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. One of the Eclipse phase. The more that I've read a little bit of the new Eclipse phase, I was like, you guys like must jerk off in front of watching or reading Altered Carbon every day, right?
Wow.
In a good way. I love Altered Carbon.
No masturbation
love it
shaming
as
on
much
the
as
stream. That was a statement, not a criticism.
No,
I'm
that's
actually
good.
wondering
Sorry.
about the dates. Did Eclipse Phase come out before Altered Carbon?
No, I don't know.
Oh yeah. No, it definitely did, because Altered Carbon was 2002, right?
Oh,
And
it's
Eclipse
interesting.
Phase is 5 or 6. So it's like they read it and they're like, this needs to be a thing. And then the second edition, they're like, lean into it, baby.
Eclipse Phase is 2009, which is way later
I
than I
would say.
thought.
Yeah. I
And then
remember
the
when
new
I
one
first saw
came
the
out.
convention because I was like, oh, who are those cool people with the hair? And they were like the only people in the dealer's hall who had like cool hair. I don't know. It's like they were
Yeah.
like part of their brand.
That sounds like Adam.
Yeah.
And Altered Carbon, yeah, it's 2002.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah,
So.
that's fair.
Yeah. And then
I never
Yeah,
thought
then-
about that before.
and then the
I
Kickstarter
just,
for the
yeah,
new
there's
one
too
was
many
last
like
year, right?
what's that?
The Kickstarter for the new one was just like last year, right?
Mm.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh wow.
Yeah. There's like a whole bunch of space horrors in Eclipse Phase. That's what I always think about when
Yeah.
it's more alien to me.
Right. But that totally works
Yeah.
with Altered Carbon, or at least with the continuing series, because the later books, like you could totally like play that really well when they
Yeah,
become, because Altered
especially the
Carbon is
third
kind of
one,
noir,
yeah.
but the later two are more military sci-fi.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
And the third one, there's some freaky shit in the field that they're combating anyway. So
Mhm,
yeah,
mhm,
totally.
yeah.
They're pretty much leaning right into it. So that's why I was kind of like, so you read the first book and you're like, ah, yes. And then you read the second book and you're like, yeah, yes. Then the third book, you're like, I want it now. And then 2 years later, it's Eclipse Phase, right? That's what it feels like. And I think I want to reiterate that this is a good thing. I love Altered Carbon. And, you know, I'm all for the sleeving and envelopes and everything.
Phrasing.
We're all adults here. It's fine. Oh my god. I just can't think anything good about Altered Carbon. So like if you say something like that, I'm like, I will automatically apply all the bad things.
Altered Carbon is great.
Cool.
No, I really like the book. I need to read it again in light of the criticisms that people have made of the series. I still haven't watched the series. It's probably going to be one of the first things I watch when the semester finally ends.
You should watch it before you read the book, otherwise
I've
you'll
read
be
the
more
book.
disappointed.
I've read the book.
No, I
already.
know.
Oh,
I know,
before I
but
reread it.
Like, don't refresh yourself
Sure,
and be
okay.
like, "This is amazing," and then go to
Gotcha.
that joke because you'll be like,
Yeah, okay. Noted. That's probably the way it would go anyway, because I feel like I can binge that in a day, and the book would probably take me like 6 months.
Well, it's a fast-paced read, I think.
Yeah,
Just Sparks Notes it.
Yeah.
No, I mean I know what happens. So I would really want the whole experience. It just takes me a long time to read novels, on account of like reading so much for my day job.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
Did you? Yeah, I still have visual culture one to read, and I also have Tokyo Cyberpunk to read too. I just got that. Another. It's not Routledge. It's pretty cheap on Amazon, but it's definitely like a dissertation feeling book type
Yeah,
deal.
I haven't read that one yet. But I do have to revise my article by July, so I might well read it before July.
Well, on the plus side, on Amazon, it's like $20 instead of, I don't know, $80 for
It
Routledge.
may well be on my shelf in my office.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
Which is good. Like I now have a Cyberpunk shelf in my campus office, which is nice. I think it's a combined Cyberpunk and gaming shelf. By the way, it's still pretty good. I'm into it.
Banana Chan, did you buy that new Routledge gaming thing? You know, the textbook, the gaming textbook thing? Yeah.
Nope.
Any interest?
I should.
With me, I was like, that looks cool, $80. How much do I like?
Isn't the soft cover a little cheaper?
That is the soft cover.
Oh wait,
cover.
no,
and
Canadian dollars.
Yeah, it's like
$80.
Yeah.
What?
I think it's like 50 something.
$60. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's
And then-
definitely like 80. Oh,
Did we lose Kira?
We lost
Kira's
Kira.
gone.
Kira down.
No.
She too does not like gatekeeping, and she made a statement. So,
Yeah, that's a powerful statement against the academic military complex.
Wow.
yeah, it's been hacked.
Yep. Well, she should roll plus harm taken to survive.
This is a great game.
Yes.
And great for
See if
us
she
because we're
has
still
any
in it.
Yeah.
This
Hopefully
actually
she
looks
has some
pretty cool.
FP
Like
content.
just the way that our screens are shaped gives it a kind of like
Oh, really?
expanding into the middle thing. At least, yeah, on the stream. I don't know how you guys see it.
Yeah.
It's still bars for me.
You
Yeah. I forgot about iPad. Yeah. You're just like, pray and hope, pray and hope.
I wonder what it's going to look like if more people join. It's probably going to be like, I don't know, more bars?
Oh yeah. Well, we had 5 the first time, but I can't remember what the layout was. I think it was slightly weird. Yeah. Next time we manage to get all 5 of us together in one room, or in one room, in one screen, we will find out.
One cyber room.
Are any of you going to Living Games?
No.
I thought about it because it's just down the road from me, but we were trying to put together a panel and it didn't really come together.
Oh.
I'm not so into LARP, so I haven't. It's not like high on my radar. But there's a whole sort of set of like academic-y streams that would be interesting.
Yeah. I'm guessing you're going, Banana Chan?
Yeah. I'll be there for Friday and Saturday.
Oh, also, do you want me to call you Barb or Banana Chan?
Oh, I usually go by Banana Chan online, but
Okay.
either one doesn't matter.
Cool. Yeah.
It's my screen name.
Fraser doesn't know
Cyber
anything about screen names.
That's true.
Fraser is the least cool hacker. Have you seen Hackers, Fraser?
Oh yeah, I love that.
Yeah, okay, so watch it again and pick a screen name. Come on.
Yeah. It's true.
Fraser
If I was,
Simons.
if I hack anybody, people are like, wonder who this guy is. I found him.
No, it's Fraser Simons. Oh, that guy.
Yeah, I don't even want to hack him. That guy's not even cool enough to hack because it's his name. The hackers are in my roots. You should hear me like my version of hacking in the mail. You can totally tell that I don't know shit about hacking because it's all like Minority Report. I'm like, you're intuiting over here and going left and right, and you're in. And yeah, so tell me what it looks like because I'm not going to tell you.
I mean, if there is a role-playing game where it is obvious that the person who wrote it does know about how computer hacking actually works, then I haven't seen it yet. Because it's certainly not mine.
Actually, it's cryptomancy. It's supposed to be really good at that.
Is that like the what's that sword fighting game that was everyone was super up on being very
Riddle of
hyper-realistic?
Steel?
Yeah, Riddle of Steel. Is it the Riddle of Steel of hacking?
No, it's a different guy, and he just did the Stigmata game.
Oh, hey.
Fight the Signal or whatever game.
Oh, right, okay.
Same fella, yeah. And he did Cryptomancer, and it's supposed to be like, it's kind of supposed to be a little bit of a crash course in that thing. Like when you read the book, you'll kind of understand some of that lingo and how it would go and hacking and stuff like that. It's supposed to be really well done. I heard about it on the Gauntlet. Lowell raves about it all the time.
I am very interested to see what that Stigmata game ends up being like.
Yeah, I have trepidation. Hey, Kira.
Hey.
Hey, Kira. You took off your glasses and it worked again?
Yeah, you've got like a darkness thing going on.
It's dark suddenly. I don't know.
Well, how'd that happen?
It's been like 5 minutes and you're like, oh my god.
I put on the Cyberpunk 2020 filter on my computer, so I'm all black and green.
I think that's the Cyberpunk version 3 filter.
I was gonna say it's pretty matrixy because everything in the real world of that is like we have a little bit of green going on.
If I go up here, I have more light. Like if I sit right here, I'll just sit here. Yeah.
The glow of the screen.
I think it's just where the sun is right now.
So retro.
Yeah. Oh, funny thing, Kira. I play test Hack the Planet with somebody who lives in your hometown.
Oh.
And I was like, hey, do you know Kira? And he's like, it's a fucking big town. Like, oh yeah, that's legit. And he's like, and funnily enough, literally everybody asked me if I know Kira.
Oh no!
Oh, weird.
Yeah, he's like, never met her, never seen her. I just go to school. I don't know.
Yeah, we're like a college town and a corporate town, so like a lot of people are in and out a lot in Columbus, and like I'm done in 4 years. Bye, see you, city. So, that's funny. But there are a lot of gamers who are here who do cool things. Tracy Barnett is here, who I really like.
Nice.
My friend Alyssa
cool,
is here.
Kind of related. I'm going to Point Pleasant. It's kind of close, but not really. It's like an hour and a half drive, but I'm going to Point Pleasant like after Origins. So I'm really excited for that.
Oh, you're gonna be at Origins! Yay!
Yeah, for sure. I mean, even though, it's Origins.
Yeah, right.
Point Pleasant sounds like where people go to a fictitious town to like get killed by a serial killer or something.
That's where the Mothman lives.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Oh, have you never been there before?
No.
It's terrifying. They have like this town is old. It's a middle of nowhere town, and they have like Coca-Cola machines on the street that are like from the 50s. Like it is bananas. And then there's like this really creepy like Native American mural by the riverfront. And then there's the Mothman statue, and that's pretty much what's there.
Well, I'm very excited for this trip.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. well, prepare yourself.
And you can take a photo by a statue of Ani in Columbus.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Golf is the stuff.
Yeah. The Arnold.
Oh, that's where it is. I didn't know that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, the Arnold Classic happens here. It's the best thing in the world.
What is the Arnold Classic?
The Arnold Classic is like a sports competition convention that is hosted by Arnold Schwarzenegger. And there's tons of bodybuilders that come there. So it's like a huge bodybuilding and like strongest man in the world competition things. You can watch the competitions. So like the guy from Game of Thrones who plays the Mountain, he wins the strongest man every year. He's here every year. And like you just go in there and there's people with the strangest, coolest bodies. Like they are just like they're all bodybuilders. Like they have like these weird muscles. And then you see like all the lady bodybuilders at night, like going out and like their dresses and heels. And you're like, what world is this? What's happening? It's very cool. I like it a lot. They have wrestling too. What's her face? The Japanese wrestler was there a year ago. WWE wrestling type things. I don't really know what that was.
I don't know anything about wrestling.
That's my Arnold Classic drift.
Sweet.
Yeah. So did we all
I'm
talk
glad-
about our things?
Well, I don't know. When did you skip out? We heard the cool stuff about Shadowrun, and I in my head, Banana Chan, I was like, oh, this must be a campaign. And you're like, oh no.
Yeah, that blew my mind. Like, one session. Yeah.
It was just like a test to see if it worked. And it kind of did. I thought it worked well, but it also was just like a mess going back and forth. So, yeah.
Do you like Shadowrun, like in general, playing it, not just in this weird situation?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, I like I've only played the 5th edition like 3 times. But I played the PC game a lot. That's a lot of fun.
The like harebrained schemes one?
Yeah, that's awesome. It's amazing.
I love that. Yeah, I love it. Can you play multiplayer on that yet? Because that's what I'm like kind of waiting for.
I don't think so. The last one I played was the one in Hong Kong. Like, it was funny because I was playing it on the way to Hong Kong, so I had like 16 hours to kill.
This will be indicative of my experience.
I feel like that's meta cyberpunk. That's like you're playing a cyberpunk game about Hong Kong on the way to Hong Kong.
It was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, also, I wanted to tell you, Kira and Hamish, I watched that cool ass movie that you told me to watch with Ryan Gosling. The
Oh my God, Forgives.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah, I loved it. I didn't understand why people didn't like it at all, and I thought it was
Because
amazing.
it's fucking weird.
People were like, "But he doesn't talk at all." I'm like, yeah, it's cinema.
Yeah. I mean, it's a complicated movie that doesn't do it doesn't do a normal movie thing. So if you're going in expecting like Ryan Gosling, like being hot and mostly kicking people in the face or something, well, I don't know why you'd expect that. But if you're expecting something like that, it's way more complicated than that. So I don't know.
Oh yeah. Plus he got his ass beat anyway. He did not kick ass in that movie. He was like, "How can I be repressed? How can I be repressed? How can I be repressed?" But yeah.
Okay.
I was just gonna say I loved it. Yeah.
Oh, I was just gonna say I think of all 3 of them. Well, I don't know. Drive is maybe my favorite, but my second favorite is probably Neon Demon, which is like the lady
That was
version.
good.
So good.
I know.
Yeah.
It's got some issues because it's a
Yeah.
Ruffin movie.
Yeah.
But
So funny story about that movie. I did not know. Like, I'm pretty sure I watched movies with Mikey where he was like, "These are the movies you should watch this year," and I was like, "Oh, what is this Neon Demon?" So I like booted it up in, I don't know, wherever it was, Netflix or something. No, definitely wasn't Netflix, but I managed to get a hold of it, put it in, and it literally like scared me because I didn't understand what was happening. And then I like turned it off after 20 minutes, and I like went for a walk, came back, and I was like, "Okay, now I'm ready for this movie," and just adjusted my headset.
Yeah, I mean, Neon Demon, like all those movies are kind of neo-noir. They're kind of like a,
Mhm.
I don't know, it's kind of like branching off, and they've got the neon and everything. They're kind of cyberpunk, but like lacking the technology. I guess in Neon Demon was the technology like photography and witchcraft.
I feel like to be considered like cyberpunk-ish, you just have to have like some scenes in a movie or some like, you know, stuff that you've done to be put into like a witch house or synth wave music video.
Yeah.
And that's like, there you go. You're automatically cyberpunk.
Yeah, like I didn't know what to expect at all from, because it was just like, hey, you should watch this movie. And I was like, okay, cool. And then like the beginning scene is like, oh, they're being nice to each other in the bathroom, and then it turns like not nice. I was like, what is happening? It just like doesn't prepare you at all for
it's definitely got like the mean girls and the predatory lesbian issues, but I kind of liked them in this movie. I don't know, like Ruffin does that to me. He makes me like problematic things. Thanks, Ruffin.
Have you seen
I
Pusher?
mean-
No,
So,
that's the new one.
No, it's his first one. That's the very old one. There's actually 3 of them: Pusher and Pusher 2 and Pusher 3.
Is that the one with do they have Mads Mikkelsen in them or something like that?
Yeah, I think the first one did. I
Yeah,
can't remember. It's been a while
like
since I watched them.
yeah.
Because he did those, and then he did Fear, the movie of the video game, which I think was
Mhm.
generally
Really?
not
Yeah.
good. And then he did all the ones that he's now known for, mostly.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if you want like a kind of gritty crime drama, and not quite as like gonzo as Guy Ritchie, like a little bit more chill, but also kind of that level of like violence, then the Pusher series is pretty good. The 3 movies.
Yeah. His style reminds me a lot of David Lynch. It's like a lot of subtle surrealism, dark crime, like
Oh yeah.
the seedy underbelly, all that type of
I
stuff.
feel like his plots are usually a little bit easier to follow.
Yeah.
Even,
well, his plot. He has plots.
and I say
too.
this about the man who directed Valhalla Rising. So
Yeah, I want to see that one too, though.
that starts off as the baddest badass Viking movie you could imagine, and then very quickly changes in tone.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've heard that about.
I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, I know you got to go, Fraser. It's like we've got our hour, right?
Yeah, that's true. Although I guess you guys could keep talking, but I have to go.
Well, I'm fading from view, I think.
Oh no.
The darkness is taking care of.
Maybe you should turn a light on.
I didn't actually realize there was any sun with her there. I really did think it was just like the light of her monitor.
There we go.
She's back.
Yay, cyberpunk.
Well, I
cool.
feel like we've probably like covered the things that we were thinking about talking about anyway, in a very kind of roundabout way. So maybe this is an appropriate time to call it for tonight.
Yeah.
We're
Cool.
planning on streaming again on Friday, right?
Yeah, that's the plan. I can't remember who all. Maybe all 4 of us again. I believe.
I won't be here
And
because
Oh,
living
okay.
games.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And
But have fun, talk about cool stuff.
yeah, is there anything anything that you want to say since you won't be here on Friday? Any kind of last thing you want to
Oh god.
Yeah.
Sounds...
say something like super controversial or something, and then we'll.
I don't have an obituary to write or anything. I don't know.
That's all right.
Yay, living games.
Are you playing any Cyberpunk games at Living Games?
No, I'm playing this one horror game and this other game called The Inversion of Me in My Room. Actually, that might be the horror game.
Yeah, that sounds like horror.
Yeah. But yeah, it's pretty chill.
There should be more cyberpunk LARPs in the world.
Yeah, so
no
I'm
shit.
actually on the hook to write one.
Yeah.
Like way back, I don't know when this was, like maybe 3 or 4 years ago. I possibly foolishly promised that I would write a Cyberpunk LARP for the year 2020. For Capcom, the sort of biggest role-playing convention in New Zealand. The problem is that I probably won't be able to be there for it, so writing a LARP for it might be tricky, but I can probably do it because I know enough of the people in the LARP scene there. But also the main problem is that it's only 2 years away, I guess, like a year and a half away, because Capcom is in January, and I might actually have to put my money where my mouth was, like 4 years ago, 5 years ago, or whatever. Especially since I've now just repeated it to the internet.
Yeah. Yeah, you kind of screwed yourself there.
Yeah.
Oh no.
C'est la vie.
I believe in you. Is
Yeah.
Paranoia has a LARP version? Does that count as Cyberpunk?
Oh,
is that
Grant's version?
No, I think it existed before whatever you're talking about. Like a long time ago, I saw people playing this game.
Oh, I think Grant
Yeah.
Howitt made like a Paranoia version of Paranoia. Sorry, LARP version of Paranoia. I'm fading fast. LARP version of Paranoia.
I wouldn't call Paranoia Cyberpunk.
Well, there's a controlling system that you have to defeat
Yeah.
with ingenuity and hacking.
I guess.
And you're all clones, I guess. So you're all like made out of stuff.
I don't know. Maybe it's more sci-fi. Maybe it's more sci-fi.
Yeah. Well, maybe this is something to think about. Maybe I should think about why I don't think it's Cyberpunk, and you all should think about why I'm wrong, and maybe the internet as well can think about why I'm either right or wrong.
That sounds great. That's a good plan.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody in chat now, you just collect your thoughts. Come Friday, just post and be like, Hamish, no.
That's fine.
Oh my god.
Or yes.
Yeah. Either way, I will have to search my feelings.
I don't even know what paranoia is, so this will give me time
What?
to figure it out.
Okay. All right. Well,
now you can't know about it.
join us next time for Underworld Bunker Shock, where Fraser will get. We will explain things to Fraser like Paranoia and Fallout.
Yeah.
I played Fallout. Okay.
Paranoia is like Fallout before you leave. Well, I don't know if that's true. I don't know.
Is this turning into like some other type of dystopia now?
Yeah. Yeah. Let's have this conversation next time, or maybe next time Banana Chan is here as well. We'll table it, and everybody can think thoughts about Cyberpunk and dystopias and paranoia, and everything.
Well, people can just be paranoid about when we'll talk about paranoia in the future.
Yes.
So if you are appalled that Fraser does not know anything about paranoia, then where can they find you, Fraser?
You can find me everywhere on Fraser Simons. I think we covered that. At Fraser Simons. All places.
One day, Fraser will reveal that he actually has a real name and that Fraser Simons is actually his hacker handle, and it will be the most elaborate con.
Yeah, even on myself.
Who wants to go next?
I'll go next. You can find me on Twitter at Kira Nanzi. It's like Kira and Ananzi put together, and it's in the same word.
Did you like that Snake Anansi video I sent you?
I did.
Yes. That's what I think whenever I read your name now.
That made me really happy.
Badass British mid-90s rock.
Yeah, I mean, no association with my name could make me happier. I often have to contend with Keira Knightley, so in comparison, it's good. Keira Knightley is my nemesis.
Who's your nemesis, Banana Chan?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I gotta think of one. There's a lot of them. I have so many. Just kidding.
Where can your nemesis contact you to declare their nemesis-hood?
So you can find me on Twitter at banana_chan_vid. Or you can find me on Game in a Curry at on Twitter or Facebook or whatever else.
I love that name, by the way. Game in a Curry. It's good.
Thank you.
And I was Hamish, and you can find me at Peregrine Kiwi. This is my Twitch channel, and my Twitter account is spelled the same. Also at the Sprawl_RPG on Twitter and Facebook. So we will be cyber shocking you all again on Friday, but with a fill in. Sorry, I did that. Boom. And at some and then and at other times in the future. Thanks for watching, everybody.
See you later.
Bye.
Also, I have like a picture in my head of Banana Chan being like, I have many enemies.
And we're
Just
out.
kidding.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Woof.
Paranoia is totally cyberpunk. FYI, I have so many feelings.
I feel like this argument will be there will be
very soon.
there will be discussions.
Yeah.
I think so too.
It's more cyberpunk than many other things that he says are cyberpunk.
I feel like paranoia is its own genre, though. I don't feel like it can be constrained by cyberpunk. And I don't think we shouldn't have this conversation now. This is good material.
Yeah.
It's true, because we all have to go now.
Yay.
All right. Thanks everybody. I think it worked pretty well that time.
Yeah.
I'm gonna continue.
Everything actually worked.
Yeah, we figured it out. Good job, Hamish.
Yeah.
Go team.
See you guys all later.
Bye.
Bye.
No, that's fair.
Including how fucking sexy you are. I was like, and I was thinking, I was like, if I put down the blinds and started sucking his cock, he'd probably get angry.
I probably would. It would probably be quite distracting.
It's okay, it's for me, not for you. You can be distracted away from the blowjob. I try not to listen to much of your